Hi guys, welcome to the video. There's a lot to talk about, so I'll just get straight into it. Start off with this tank. So first thing you'll notice is that we no longer have the bioactive setup. That was actually all torn out back in October, and there were several reasons that kind of led to that decision. The first being that kind of after Olive, my parrotlet, passed away from fungal infection, I was becoming increasingly paranoid about, spores in the air and things like that, and was just becoming worried that this big tank of soil and stuff, probably wasn't the cause, but maybe wasn't helping to the spore count. I was just becoming worried that I couldn't keep it clean enough. And then the second thing that happened, the very eagle-eyed amongst you may notice that this is not hop. This is a new hen, well, relatively new. Her name is Biscuit. She is Pop's new companion, and that is because, again, kind of I think it was September, October. Hop passed away very suddenly one night. When I left the house, she looked fine, and I came back a few hours later, and she was on death's door, and in the morning she had passed away. I don't know why. I mean, she was about 3.5 years old, and that is actually over the life expectancy for a hen, so maybe it was just age. I don't know, but anyway, that didn't help in terms of my paranoia. But the real nail in the coffin came when there was a big outbreak of grain mites in the bioactive setup in the soil. There was just so much of the seeds and quail food in the soil that it just attracted these mites, and these mites don't suck blood. They're attracted to the combination of moisture and grain-based food, and they were just everywhere, and it was pretty gross. So that was it. That cinched it really. That was it. So I tore it all out, and they're back to the sort of quote-unquote artificial setup again. I just got a bunch of, they're on this substrate called Megazorb, which has a very natural kind of gravelly appearance, and I just got a bunch of fake plants, and they're quite happy. So yeah, that was a very quick summary of everything that's been happening with them. And that brings me on to the unfortunate news about Widget and his health. I'm going to be as concise about this as I can, because again, there's a lot of information. This is actually all started in January this year, but I've just been so busy actually taking care of him that I haven't been able to make a video up to this point. I'm sure you guys can, appreciate that, and why taking care of him was more important than making videos about him. But I would have liked to, that being said, I would have liked to get a video of him before things really went downhill. But anyway, so back in January, I noticed that Widget was sort of a bit unsteady on his feet. Yeah, there he goes. Yeah, so, he wasn't limping. He just sort of had a drunkenness about him. He just seemed a bit unsteady, so we took him to the vet. And, the avian vet agreed there was definitely something up. And so we started him on some anti-inflammatories and antibiotics. But he wasn't getting any worse, but he wasn't well, it wasn't getting much worse, but it wasn't getting any better either. So we decided to book him in for x-rays and blood tests, which was, a bit nerve-wracking because putting a tiny creature under anaesthetic is always a risk, but there was no other way to get an idea of what was going on. So the x-rays revealed that he had some kind of mass in his abdominal region. He's so tiny that the vet couldn't work out exactly where it was or what it was, and hoped that the blood tests would reveal more information. And they did, and the tests did, in the sense that it cleared up it told us some things that the mass wasn't, that it wasn't in his kidneys, which was a good thing, and that it wasn't a bacterial or viral cause. But it still didn't tell us what it was, or exactly where it was. So then we decided to try a ultrasound scan, but unfortunately that didn't really reveal anything new either. After that, the options became drastically more risky, and they were that one option was to try and take a sample of the mass by going in, basically puncturing him with a syringe, which was very risky because there was a high chance of accidentally puncturing something else, another organ or an air sac or something. And the second option was to do a biopsy, which meant put him under and cut him open and see what they could find. No guarantee that they could actually remove anything or do anything. It's just to have a look. Even more risky at this point because he was even weaker by this point. So anaesthetic was even more risky, and then the added actual surgery, was just, and obviously neither of these options were cures or treatments. It's just more kind of exploration. So we went home and we thought about it, and we started to consider, instead of putting him through all that, we started to seriously consider the option of palliative care. And what that means is just providing, when someone has a untreatable illness, you're just providing support and medication to make them comfortable for the remainder of their life. And I asked friends and families, and particularly friends who had pets and birds, and they agreed that this, given his age and, the small chance of success with even finding out what was wrong, that this was the best option, just to make him comfortable and let him live out the rest of his life in peace. And we spoke to the vet about it, and she agreed that this was a good option, so this is what we're doing. So he's on anti-inflammatories and painkillers. We give him those twice a day, and he gets supplements in his water, electrolytes and vitamins and energy, and yes, he's having a bit of trouble there. Hang on guys, I'm just going to hang on guys. Okay, so we're okay again now. And just sort of making sure he has plenty of food, plenty of high energy treats at all times, and that he can get around okay. Let's see if he can get out of that sandpit by himself. So as you can see, he does kind of flop around, but he can get around. If he goes down on his side, he can right himself. It takes a bit of effort, but he can do it. I'm keeping a very close eye on him at all times, constantly assessing his quality of life. And actually, several weeks ago when we first started medicating him, he was great. His posture was pretty much back to normal, and the untrained eye would never notice there was anything wrong. But gradually, as the weeks progressed, it started to get to him again. He's becoming more and more kind of unsteady. But he is still he's still like eating. He's enthusiastic about food, and he's taking dust baths, and he's getting around, and so I think he's okay for now. But to be quite honest with you, I don't know how long he has left, and sometimes I'm completely at peace with that, and sometimes I'm just a complete emotional wreck, because I'm sure you guys all know how much he means to me and how special he is. But that's just the reality of it. And he is coming up to 4 years old now, so he's fairly old. And we're just doing the best we can for him. I hope I haven't rambled too much. But yeah. So, poor Widget. But he's getting by. I think he's still doing alright. It's an effort for him to get around, but he can do it. Just making sure I give him plenty of mealworms and waxworms and things to give him lots of energy. Because originally I had all these plans to, I was going to put in all these platforms along the back of this tank. But when Widget got ill, obviously it wasn't appropriate to put in things that he would climb on and maybe fall off. So instead I just got a few more plants, just to fill the space, because he likes being able to prop himself up on things, so it being a bit busier in here is beneficial to him, I think. Not having wide open spaces, in case he falls over, he has a way to kind of prop himself up again. So yeah, so that's their current setup. And they have a different substrate. They have Katie Clean and Cozy rather than the Megazorb, because the Megazorb was like he was finding it difficult to gain any traction on it, and also apparently wanted to eat it as well. So obviously we couldn't have that. So yeah, we've got kind of the more traditional paper bedding instead, and I think that's better for him. So yeah, guys, that's what's going on with Widget. Please, give him all your love and thoughts, and just, yeah, I don't know what to say, really. We're just going to keep doing the best for him for as long as we can. The last thing I wanted to say is that if anyone wants to make like a small donation to his ongoing medication and all his like food and treats and supplements and stuff, I have a coffee link in the description where you can leave a small donation for him if you wish. If you can't, that's perfectly fine, because just by watching this video and liking it, you're helping out a great deal as well. Yeah, so that's it, guys. That's how the quails are doing. Pie's doing good, these two are doing good, and Widget is getting by. We're giving him all our love. I hope you guys do too. He's hiding now. So he's taking a rest. Yeah, I'm going to wrap this up now. Right, guys. Speak soon.